Oh, hey there. Welcome to another day in the studio. This is the day the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. I'm telling you, that was a lesson. That's truly a lesson to learn. Um, Life has so many ups and downs and things that we have to go through. And sometimes we sit back and we go, I just don't understand why. And, but in the same token, a lot of good things happen too. And like my last video was talking about um, how to enjoy the little things, right? Mm. And those little things do matter. And you know, when we put ourselves into God's plan and let Him have His plan for our lives, it's giving Him the paintbrush and letting Him paint in our lives, which is so great. And I had no idea that I would do a YouTube channel. And it was so funny because when I went through all that, and I've been through a lot of stuff, and you sit back and you go, how is that? God says He works all things for His good. And you sit and you go, how's that going to work? But His thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are not our ways. And when I had my encounter with Jesus in that heaven's nursery, He said to me, I did this to heal you. And not only for you, but for others. And when I looked at the heaven's nursery, he gave me so much insight, but yet in my heart, I was thinking about all of the parents. And I think I had addressed this before. And I never knew how He was going to use my story. And it has been 13 years ago. And I have spoke at it at ladies ministries and different things, but I didn't really pursue um, opportunities to share it. I wanted God to open the door, and therefore meeting Gabe was totally off my normal path. And I've never done a show like that on YouTube before, and that was really the first time majorly publicly have I gone out with my story. And so the questions that have come in and the feedback and all of that, many of you I'm still trying to get back in touch with. I want you to reach out to me, and I am reaching back. But um, you just never know where God's going to take you with your story. And so you may be going through something right now and you go, what's the point of all this? And I think we've all asked that question. And in Jeremiah 29:11, He says, for I know the plans that I have for you. He already knew before your parents even knew who you were, and before you knew your own identity. He already had a plan and reason for creating you from Jeremiah 29:11. And I was reading in Ephesians this morning, Ephesians chapter 2, and chapter 2, verse 9 and 10 stood out to me. 9 saying, not by works, so that no one can boast. Never boast on your own works. Verse 10 says, for we are God's handiwork. He created Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. And, He wants us to share our stories with others and to give each other the goodness of God and to share your story. And a lot of you have asked a lot of questions, and I'm trying to respond to them. And I appreciate all that. And so I hope that through my story, it will encourage you one day to follow God and in your healing process, help others in that process too. So So, in that process, as some of you may or may not have heard, I did not know how to paint until 3 years ago. And in that healing process, and when my dad moved to heaven, um, that was a tough one on me too, because my dad was such a big source of help to me and my personal being and my brother. And so, especially after the passing of my mom. And so I had no idea that I was going to get into art or be an artist. And when I say I fulfill the calling that God has called me to do, and it is not by my work, but His work through me. So, that being said, my stories from my boats have really reached a quite a few people, and it's interesting because when they come to the gallery, they don't they'll stand there and stare at a painting, and the next thing I know, there's so much emotions. There's joy, there's been tears, there's been all kinds of things that have come from them. And I feel like it's God's way of uh, share, sharing what He did in me in a way that He can do in others. So this painting is one of my upcoming pieces. I have gotten into the series of pink, and so I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet. This is only the first layer of it. The sky is done. I got my horizon line. I have this outline for my boat, and then this is going to be the water, and there'll be some reflections on it. So I'd love to get some feedback from you as to what should I name this painting. But in my next video, I will probably be painting it with you. And I'd like to go into a little more in depth about what it was like in heaven holding those babies and what went through my mind. So I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.